everyone, welcome back to the 13 Days of Halloween Day 10. It's Justine, and today we're going to make a fun shaker card using Suzy stamps. To get started with this card, I'm going to take a piece of 11 by 4¼ paper that is scored at 5½ in the middle. I'm going to put it on my craft mat. And to get started, I'm going to grab my blending tools, and I'm going to be using a few different colors of ink to create a sunrise look. So I'm going to be using the colors Mustard Seed, Spiced Marmalade, and Abandoned Coral. Those are my favorite go-to colors right now for a sunset background. But first I have to mask off an area so that the edges of my card don't show any ink. I'm only going to be masking off a square here because I'm only going to be needing to ink in that area. But I would suggest actually masking off that bottom right corner there because eventually I did get some yellow on that. So I'm just going in from the craft mat into my cardstock using the mustard seed, and I wanted to cover my whole square. And then I wanted to go in and blend the spiced marmalade as well as the abandoned coral in there with it. So I'm just coming in from the sides, as you can see, starting off my craft mat and working my way in to create some nice smooth lines. Eventually, I don't think you end up seeing the abandoned coral, which happens often in my cards when I make this background, but I still added it just for fun. And it's okay that you're getting it on the bottom there, as long as you're not getting it on the sides where the white is going to go show through. So I'm just going to take off my washi tape here, and just be careful when peeling washi tape because some washi tapes are more sticky than others and may actually rip your paper. It did rip my paper slightly here, but it actually didn't matter in the end because my card panel kind of distracts your eye from that. So I just took a panel that measured 4 by 5¼ inches, and it's on a slightly thinner cardstock than my card base. I'm using the 80-pound Nina Solar White cardstock instead of the 110-pound that I use for the card base. I'm going to be using this jumbo die from My Favorite Things, and I'm going to be die cutting that using my die cutting machine. Now you should add a piece of washi tape so it doesn't shift around on you. I didn't, and it worked out fine, but that won't always be the case. So again, just attach it using some washi tape or some 3M tape or whatever so that it stays exactly in the place that you want it, and then just feed it through your machine. When die cutting with a Cuttlebug, you need an A, a B, and a C plate. Now you can see that this die cut here actually cuts out the center in sort of a scallop look, but then also creates a stitched line around in the circle pattern. So I'm going to be moving on to my stamping now, in which I'm going to be using my Misty. My Misty is my favorite thing to use when stamping at the moment because you just get an accurate stamp every time. I forgot here to remove the back piece of foam, and I noticed that when I picked up the stamp, so I just had to start over because clink stamps don't require the black foam, only clear stamps do. So I'm just going to be placing Happy Haunting in the middle of my card there on the bottom and inking it up. And what's really cool about this is you can actually ink it up a couple of times if you want to and get a really true black. I didn't do that in the case of the title, but yeah, you can do it. Now I'm just going to stamp the haunted house, being careful that it won't show through on the bottom. And I was thinking of doing some bats in it as well, but when I put my card panel over to see, I realized that that would probably be quite distracting and you wouldn't know that they were bats. So I just inked that up again using the Memento black ink, and then I stamped the haunted house. And because this is a really truly solid image, I like to stamp it twice just to get a really true black color, and you'll notice the difference there when I stamp it the second time. So now I'm all ready to start putting my shaker card together. Now when I put a shaker card together, it is often the case that I forget a step, but I caught myself in this one before I had to do any card surgery, so that's really exciting because that doesn't happen too often. So I'm just taking a pencil here and measuring where my scallop line is going to be, and this is going to tell me where I need to put my 3D foam tape. My 3D tape I'm actually just going to put in a square instead of a circle because it's just a lot easier. So I'm just grabbing some tape and making a square using the tape, and you also need to make sure that nothing is going to end up sticking out because your beads will end up falling out, and that's the case with a lot of shaker cards. I also like to use a little bit of thicker 3D foam tape when doing this. Using my beads from Simon Says Stamp, I'm going to add some black, orange, and yellow beads. If I would have had sequins in these colors, I would have added those as well, but unfortunately I don't. And then I can just take off the actual 3D foam tape here. And you just have to be careful when doing this that your card doesn't shift too much, because if it ends up bouncing too much, then you get the beads on your 3D foam tape and they're going to stick. It's not a big deal, you can take them off with your fingers. Alright, there was my almost where I had to do card surgery because I forgot to put the plastic piece onto the actual back of the card panel. So obviously you need something so your beads don't fall out, so I'm using an embossable window sheet. You can use acetate, you can use laminating sheets, you can use plastic packaging, whatever you want. I like to use something that is actually meant for this, because if you use packaging, a lot of the time you get a really extreme glare off of the shaker card, especially when photographing it. So if you're not doing any sort of photography with your cards and you're just sending that out, it's not really a problem at all. But I like to use the embossable window sheets just in case I end up wanting to do some embossing on them so that they don't melt. Alright, so I'm just going to take that plastic sheet, you can see it in the camera there because of the light that I have around my area. I'm just going to do a piece of glue all the way around my circle. Liquid glue will work just fine. The Tombow Mono I find works best, and I'm just going to hold that down for a couple of seconds, and now I have my window. So it's a good thing I didn't stick that down beforehand, or all my beads would have ended up falling out. Now I can put that onto my card, and I officially have my shaker card that is all finished, except for the fact that I just have to fold my card in half here. So I'm just going to take the back of my scissors instead of a bone folder, just because that's what I had on hand. And now I'm done my shaker cards. So I hope you enjoyed day 10 of this card tutorial. And you can head over to Suzy Stamps. I'm being featured there today as well. And leave a comment if you'd like. I'll leave the link below in the bottom. I'm just going to straighten out this card panel here. I realized it was on crooked. And that's the end of today's card tutorial officially there. So I will see you tomorrow for day 11. All supplies used are linked to below in the video description or on my blog. And here's a final look at the card. Just love that background. Here you're welcome to click to visit my blog and the supply list up at the top. You can click on the moving video there to see day 9's video that I had created, or you can click on the subscribe button over on the right to subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching.